Welcome to another dark confession from the Wasteland. My name does not matter. What matters is what I witnessed. This is the story of what happened when the Enclave, the most ideologically pure faction in the Wasteland, faced a truth they could not ignore. They were dying, and to survive, they had to recruit the very people they had spent decades trying to exterminate. This is about what happens when desperation forces you to compromise everything you believe in. It is about ghouls in Enclave power armor. It is about ideology meeting arithmetic. And it is about the price of survival, when survival means becoming unrecognizable to yourself. You are going to hear about secret outposts running out of soldiers, about ghoul settlements making deals with their former executioners, about a drug that delays the inevitable, about alliances built on mutual hatred and desperation, and about what happens when the people you save realize they do not need you anymore. This is not a story about redemption. This is a story about what remains when ideology dies and only survival matters. And if you genuinely enjoy this kind of dark storytelling, consider subscribing and liking the channel, but only if it truly resonates with you. I need to tell you something before the silence takes me too. Before what is left of my voice becomes just another echo in this bunker. My name does not matter anymore. What matters is what I saw, what we did, what the Enclave became when desperation turned ideology into ash. You have to understand how it started. We were not monsters from the beginning. We believed we were saving humanity, real humanity, pure humanity. The Enclave taught us that anyone touched by radiation was no longer human. They were genetic non-compliance offenders, mutants, ghouls, super mutants. All of them were corrupted versions of what we once were. And we, the descendants of the pre-war government, the last true Americans, had a duty to restore the world to what it should have been. I remember my first genetic compliance screening. I was 17. They made us stand in a white room while machines hummed and scanned every cell in our bodies, looking for mutations, looking for corruption, looking for any sign that the Wasteland had touched us. When the screen flashed green, I felt pride. I was pure. I was worthy. I was Enclave. They showed us footage from the field operations. Enclave soldiers in their advanced power armor, moving through settlements with flamethrowers. I watched people run. I watched them burn. The officers called it pest control. They said those people were already dead, just walking corpses that did not know it yet. Radiation had stolen their humanity. We were being merciful. We were cleaning the slate so America could be reborn. I believed them. We all believed them. But belief is a luxury that dies when your numbers start dropping, when your bases start falling, when your brothers and sisters stop coming back from missions. The destruction of the oil rig in 2242 was the first crack. We lost our president. We lost our command structure. We lost hundreds of our people in a single day. The chosen one, they called the one who did it. One Wastelander with a detonator, and half our organization was gone, vaporized, drowned, dead. We retreated east, regrouped at Raven Rock. We told ourselves it was a tactical repositioning. We told ourselves we were still strong. We told ourselves the mission continued. Then Raven Rock fell. Then Adams Air Force Base fell. More brothers and sisters gone. More advanced technology destroyed. More pure human bloodlines erased from existence. The Brotherhood of Steel and their pet wanderer carved through us like we were nothing, like our ideology meant nothing, like our technology meant nothing. By 2278, we were ghosts, scattered remnants hiding in bunkers that even we had forgotten existed. No central command, no president, no plan, just survivors, trying to figure out what the Enclave even was anymore without the infrastructure that had defined us. I was stationed at Outpost November 7. You will not find it on any map. It was a listening post built into an old missile silo in the Midwest. 37 Enclave personnel. That was all we had left in our sector. 37 pure humans trying to hold on to a dream that was bleeding out. Commander Dubian Agnes was in charge. She was old Enclave, pre-oil rig. She'd been a young officer when President Richardson was still alive, when the FEV project was still viable, when we still had the numbers and resources to actually implement our vision. She remembered what we used to be, and she could see what we had become. We were dying, not from combat, from attrition, from time itself. You see, the Enclave had always been small, exclusive. We only recruited from within our own ranks. We married each other. We had children with each other. We kept the bloodline pure, but that kind of genetic isolation has consequences. Consequences that the pre-war Enclave had planned to address with the Vault experiments and eventual colonization of new territories. But the Vaults turned against us. The territories never materialized, and we just kept getting smaller. Inbreeding depression. the medical officer called it. Genetic disorders appearing in our children. Miscarriages, stillbirths, children born with conditions that no amount of pre-war technology could fix. Our gene pool had become a puddle, and it was drying up. We had 37 people. Only 11 were of breeding age. Of those 11, 6 were related too closely to safely produce offspring. That left 5. 5 people to continue the pure human legacy of the Enclave at Outpost November 7. Do you understand what that means? We were not just losing the war. We were losing the species. Our species. The pure human species we had sworn to preserve. Commander Watanabe called a meeting. I remember walking into the conference room and seeing the look on her face. It was not the face of a soldier. It was the face of someone who had run out of options. She showed us the numbers. Population projections, genetic viability assessments, resource inventories, mission capability reports. Every graph pointed down. Every projection ended in 0. We had maybe 10 years before Outpost November 7 could no longer function as a military installation. Maybe 15 before we were extinct. Someone asked if we had tried to contact other Enclave remnants. We had. Most did not respond. The ones that did reported similar numbers. Similar problems. One outpost in the Rockies had been overrun by raiders. Another in the southwest had gone dark. We were not regrouping. We were dying quietly in our separate holes. Then Watanabe said something I will never forget. She said, "We need more people." It sounds simple, obvious even, but for the Enclave, those 4 words were heresy. We need more people meant we need outsiders. We need more people meant we need Wastelanders. We need more people meant we need to compromise everything we stood for. Lieutenant Chen stood up. He was a purist through and through. His family had been Enclave since before the Great War. He said, "We don't need more people. We need better tactics, better resource management. We need to be smarter." Watanabe looked at him like a teacher looks at a student who has not done the reading. She said, "Chen, we're already smart. We're the smartest people left alive, and we're still dying. Intelligence doesn't fix genetics. It doesn't make more soldiers appear. It doesn't give us the numbers we need to survive," Chen argued. Others argued. I stayed quiet. I was young, 22 years old. I had been trained to follow orders and believe in the mission. But I also had eyes. I could see the empty barracks. I could see the aging faces around me. I could see the future that was coming whether we wanted to admit it or not. The argument went on for hours. It always came back to the same problem. Who could we recruit? Vault dwellers were the theoretical option, but there were no vaults in our area. And most vault dwellers had already left their vaults anyway, becoming wastelanders just like everyone else. Super mutants were obviously unacceptable. Raiders were chaotic and unreliable. Regular wastelanders had generations of radiation exposure, making them genetically compromised even if they looked normal. Then Watanabe said something that made the room go silent. She said, "What about ghouls?" I thought I had misheard her. We all did. Someone laughed. It was a nervous laugh, the kind you make when you think someone has told a joke in poor taste. But Watanabe was not laughing. She was looking at us with absolute seriousness. "Ghouls are immune to radiation," she continued. "They heal faster than humans. They can survive in environments that would kill us. They have extended lifespans. Many of them have pre-war knowledge and skills. And most importantly, they're desperate for acceptance. Desperate enough to overlook who we are and what we've done to them." Chen stood up so fast his chair fell over. He said, "You want us to recruit walking corpses? You want us to put mutants in Enclave power armor? Commander, with all respect, you've lost your mind." Watanabe did not flinch. She said, "I've lost my illusions, Lieutenant. There's a difference." The room erupted, shouting, accusations. Someone called Watanabe a traitor. Someone else called her a pragmatist. The medical officer pointed out that ghouls are technically still human, genetically speaking. Radiation damages them, but doesn't change their fundamental DNA structure the way FEV does. Someone else shouted that radiation damage is still mutation, still corruption, still everything the Enclave stands against. I sat there and listened to the argument tear through people who had been like family to me. And I realized something terrible. Watanabe was right. We were going to die if nothing changed, and being right about our ideology did not matter if we were all dead. The meeting ended without a decision. Watanabe dismissed us and told us to think about it, to really think about whether we wanted to be right or whether we wanted to survive. I went back to my quarters, and I did think about it. I thought about everything I had been taught. Every lesson about genetic purity, every speech about the Enclave's sacred duty, every time I had watched footage of our soldiers burning ghouls alive. because they were genetic non-compliance offenders. And then I thought about the 11-year-old girl in the outpost, Sarah. She was the youngest person at November 7. She had been born here. She had never seen the oil rig. She had never seen the Enclave at full strength. She had only known us as we were now, desperate, diminished, dying. If we did nothing, Sarah would grow up in an outpost that would slowly empty until she was alone. And then she would die alone, the last person at November 7, maybe the last Enclave member anywhere. And everything we had believed in, everything we had fought for, everything we had killed for, would die with her. But if we did what Watanabe suggested, if we recruited ghouls, then Sarah might have a future, a twisted, compromised future where the Enclave's ideology was shattered, but a future nonetheless. I did not sleep that night. I don't think anyone did. 3 days later, Watanabe called another meeting. She asked for a vote. She said, "I'm not going to order this. It has to be a choice. So I'm asking you, do we maintain our purity and die with our principles intact? Or do we adapt and survive?" The vote was not unanimous. It was not even comfortable. But it was clear. 22 voted to proceed. 12 voted against. 3 abstained. Chen was one of the 12. He said, "This is the end of the Enclave. You know that, right? The moment we put a ghoul in our armor, we become everything we swore to destroy." Watanabe said, "Maybe, or maybe we become something that actually has a chance to see tomorrow." Chen left the meeting. He locked himself in his quarters for 2 days. When he came out, he requested reassignment to perimeter duty. As far from the outpost as possible, Watanabe approved it. She understood. Some people could not bend without breaking. The next question was how? How do you recruit ghouls when you have spent decades hunting them? How do you approach a population you've systematically tried to exterminate and say, "Hey, want to join our team?" Watanabe assigned me to the recruitment team. Me, Sergeant Foster, and Dr. Lin, 3 of us to figure out the impossible. We started by gathering intelligence. Long-range reconnaissance. We identified a ghoul settlement about 40 miles north of our position, a place called Rust Haven, about 60 ghouls living in the ruins of an old factory. They had defenses. They had structure. They had survived in a part of the Wasteland where most humans would die in days. Foster wanted to approach with a full squad in power armor, show strength. I argued against it. I said, "We show up in power armor. They're going to think we're there to burn them. They'll fight. And even if we win, we can't recruit people we've killed." Dr. Lin agreed. She said, "We need to approach as supplicants, not conquerors. We need them to believe we're sincere." So we went in civilian clothes. No power armor, no energy weapons. Just 3 Enclave members walking into a ghoul settlement with nothing but our words and our desperation. I will never forget the moment we walked through Rust Haven's gates. The ghouls stopped what they were doing and stared at us, not with fear, with confusion. And something else, something that looked almost like hope. One of them approached us. An older ghoul, or at least he looked older. "It is hard to tell with ghouls. Radiation does strange things to age." He said, "Your Enclave." It was not a question. He had seen our kind before, probably from a distance, probably right before someone started shooting. I said, "Yes, we're Enclave, and we need to talk." What do you think really happened in that settlement? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I would like to know if I am the only one who feels this way about what came next. His name was Marcus. He had been a teacher before the bombs fell. 201 years ago, he had been explaining algebra to 8th graders in a middle school in Kansas. Then the sirens went off. He tried to get his students to shelter. Most of them did not make it. He did. Sort of. He stood there looking at us with eyes that had seen the Enclave before, eyes that had probably seen Enclave soldiers burning his friends, his family, maybe even his former students who had survived long enough to become ghouls themselves. Foster's hand kept drifting to where his sidearm would have been if we had brought weapons. Dr. Lin stood perfectly still. Like any sudden movement might shatter the moment. I was the one who had to talk. That was my job. I was the youngest, the least threatening, the one whose face had not yet learned to carry the weight of what the Enclave had done. I said, "We're here to make an offer." Marcus tilted his head. The skin on his neck made a sound like old leather creaking. He said, "An offer? That's new. Usually your kind just offers bullets." I deserved that. We all did. I said, "Things have changed." He laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. Ghouls have damaged vocal cords. Everything they say sounds like it is being dragged over broken glass. He said, "Things have changed. The Enclave, the same organization that has spent decades trying to exterminate us, suddenly wants to chat. Let me guess. You finally realized you're losing. He was not wrong. I said yes. The honesty surprised him. I could see it in his face. Or what was left of his face. His nose was mostly gone. His lips had pulled back from his teeth in a permanent grimace. But his eyes were still human. Still sharp. Still intelligent. He said, "Keep talking." So I did. I told him the truth. Not all of it, but enough. I told him the Enclave was dying. I told him we needed people. I told him we were considering options we never thought we would consider. I did not tell him about the decades of genocide. He already knew that part. I said, we can offer protection, resources, technology, training, a chance to be part of something bigger than just surviving day to day. Marcus looked at me for a long time. Then he said, "And what do you want in exchange?" I said, "Soldiers, workers, people who can help us maintain what we have left, people who can help us survive long enough to figure out what happens next." He said, "You want us to fight for you, the people who have been trying to kill us?" I said, "Yes." Another ghoul approached, female, younger, or she had been younger when she turned. She said, "Marcus, you're not seriously considering this." Marcus held up a hand. He said, "Let them finish, Angela." Dr. Lynn stepped forward. She said, "We understand the irony. We understand what we're asking, but consider what we're offering. The Enclave has the most advanced medical technology in the Wasteland. We have power armor. We have energy weapons. We have food synthesis equipment, clean water, radiation-free environments." She paused. Then she said something I had not expected her to say. "We have a drug that might prevent ghouls from going feral." That got their attention. Every ghoul in earshot turned to look at us. Angela said, "You're lying." Dr. Lynn said, "I'm not. It's experimental, untested, but our research suggests that feralization is connected to neurological decay that can be slowed with the right chemical intervention. We've been working on it for years. We just never had any reason to test it. Until now, I had not known about this. Foster had not known about this." We both looked at Dr. Lynn. She did not look back. She kept her eyes on the ghouls. Marcus said, "Why would you develop a drug to help ghouls?" Dr. Lynn said, "We didn't develop it for you. We developed it as a potential biological weapon, a way to accelerate feralization in hostile ghoul populations. But the research works both ways. If we can make the process faster, we can make it slower, maybe even stop it." The honesty was brutal, clinical, exactly what you would expect from someone who had spent her career in an Enclave laboratory. She was not apologizing. She was not asking for forgiveness. She was just stating facts. Angela said, "So you were trying to figure out how to turn us all into feral monsters, and now you want us to join you? This is insane." Marcus raised his hand again. He said, "How many of you are left?" Foster said, "That's classified." Marcus said, "Then let me make it unclassified. You wouldn't be here if you had any other options. You wouldn't be standing in front of me without power armor if you had the strength to take what you want. So I'll ask again, how many of you are left?" I said, "Not enough." Marcus nodded. He said, "Give us 3 days. We need to discuss this among ourselves. Come back at sunrise on the 4th day. Come alone. If you bring soldiers, we'll assume the offer was a lie." We agreed. We walked back through Rust Haven with dozens of ghoul eyes watching us. I could feel their hatred, their confusion, their desperate hope that maybe, just maybe, this was real. The walk back to Outpost November 7 took 6 hours. None of us spoke until we were inside the security perimeter. Foster said, "Did Command authorize you to offer that drug?" Dr. Lynn said, "No." Foster said, "So you just made a promise we might not be able to keep?" Dr. Lynn said, "I made a promise that gives them a reason to say yes. Whether we can keep it or not is a problem for later. Right now we need them to believe we're offering something worth the risk." I said, "What if the drug doesn't work?" Dr. Lynn said, "Then they're no worse off than they are now. Feralization happens eventually for most ghouls. We're offering a chance to delay it. That's more than anyone else has ever offered them." When we reported back to Commander Watanabe, she listened to everything. She did not interrupt. When we finished, she sat in silence for a full minute. Then she said, "Dr. Lynn, can you actually produce this drug?" Dr. Lynn said, "Yes, it will take time. It will take resources. But yes, I can make it work." Watanabe said, "Then make it work. If we're going to do this, we're going to do it right." The next 3 days was strange. The outpost divided into factions, the ones who supported the plan, the ones who opposed it, the ones who were too conflicted to pick a side. Chen and his supporters started wearing black armbands, a symbol of mourning. They said they were mourning the death of the Enclave's ideals. They were mourning what we used to be. Sarah, the 11-year-old, asked me what was happening. I did not know how to explain it to her. How do you tell a child that everything she has been taught to believe is being torn apart because the adults realize they were wrong, or not wrong but impractical, or not impractical but unsustainable? I said, "We're trying something new." She said, "Are we going to let ghouls live here?" I said, "Maybe. Would that bother you?" She thought about it. Then she said, "I've never met a ghoul. They're supposed to be scary, but I've also never met most of the things we're supposed to be afraid of. So I don't know." Honest answer. Better than most of the adults were managing. On the 4th day, I went back to Rusthaven alone. That was the agreement. Just me, no weapons, no backup. If they wanted to kill me, they could. I was counting on the fact that they wanted what we were offering more than they wanted revenge. Marcus met me at the gates. He said, "We have conditions." I said, "I'm listening." He said, "First, we want the drug, all of it, every dose you can make. Second, we want guarantees, written guarantees, that you won't suddenly decide we're not worth the resources and put us down like animals. Third, we want to know what happened to the ghouls at Underwood Station." I did not know what Underwood Station was. I said, "I don't have that information." Marcus said, "Underwood Station was a ghoul settlement in Nevada. 6 years ago, Enclave soldiers swept through and burned everyone. 43 ghouls died, including children. We want to know who gave that order and whether they're still in command." I felt something cold settle in my stomach. I said, "I'll find out." Marcus said, "Fourth condition. We want access to your medical facilities. Not just for sterilization prevention, for everything. Injuries, illnesses, everything you would provide to your own people." I said, "Agreed." He said, "Fifth condition. If we do this, we're not second-class citizens. We're not disposable. We're not ghouls who happen to be useful. We're Enclave, same rank structure, same opportunities, same treatment." "Oh, this doesn't work. That was the hard one." That was the one that would make Chen and his supporters walk out. I said, "I'll take it to command." Marcus said, "You do that, and tell your commander something for me. Tell her we know this is desperation. We know you hate us. We know you wish you had any other option, but we're desperate too. We're tired of being hunted. We're tired of being treated like monsters. So if you're offering a chance to be something else, we'll take it, even if it means working with the people who have been killing us." I went back to Outpost November 7 and delivered the conditions. Watanabe accepted all of them, even the 5th one, even the one about equal treatment. Chen walked out. He took 4 others with him. They stripped off their Enclave insignias and left, just walked into the Wasteland. Watanabe did not stop them. She said, "Let them go. They made their choice. We're making ours." 2 weeks later, the first ghoul recruits arrived at Outpost November 7. 12 of them. Marcus and Angela and 10 others. They came through the gates, and everyone in the outpost stopped what they were doing to watch. I remember seeing Sarah's face. She was standing near the entrance to the barracks. She was staring at the ghouls with wide eyes. Not fear, curiosity. She had grown up being told ghouls were monsters, and now monsters were walking into her home wearing recruit uniforms. The integration process was brutal, not because the ghouls were difficult. They were not. They followed orders. They learned quickly. They worked hard. The brutality came from the humans, from us, from people who had spent their entire lives being taught that ghouls were subhuman abominations. And now they had to work beside them, train with them, live with them. There were incidents. A fight broke out in the mess hall after someone called Marcus a corpse. A human recruit refused to share a barracks with ghouls and had to be reassigned. Someone sabotaged a ghoul's power armor during training. The armor shut down mid-drill. The ghoul inside could have died if we had not caught it. Watanabe dealt with each incident swiftly. Court-martials, demotions, in one case, discharge. She made it clear, if you could not work with the ghouls, you could leave. The Enclave you remembered was dead. This was what we were now. Dr. Lin worked day and night on the sterilization prevention drug. She called it Compound Omega. She tested it on herself first. Injected herself with a modified version to make sure the delivery system worked. Then she tested it on volunteers from Rusthaven. Ghouls who were starting to show early signs of cognitive decline. It worked. Not perfectly, not completely, but it worked. The degradation slowed. In some cases it stopped. Ghouls who had been forgetting words started remembering them. Ghouls who had been growing more aggressive became calm again. Word spread. More ghouls came to us, not from Rusthaven, from other settlements. They had heard rumors, whispers, stories about an Enclave outpost that was recruiting ghouls and offering them a way to stay sane. Within 6 months, our numbers had doubled. then tripled. The outpost that had been dying was suddenly thriving. We had workers, we had soldiers, we had people with skills and knowledge that we had lost. One of the Ghoul recruits had been a pre-war engineer, another had been a military tactician, another had been a teacher, like Marcus. We were becoming something new, something that had never existed before, an enclave that included the very people we had sworn to exterminate. If you have ever wondered what choice you would make in a situation like this, tell me in the comments. I will be reading them, but success brought new problems. Other Enclave remnants heard about what we were doing. Some were curious, some were horrified, some wanted to join us, others wanted to destroy us. And then there were the Ghouls themselves, living with humans who had killed their kind, working alongside people who had burned their settlements, wearing the uniform of an organization that had hunted them for decades. The resentment was always there, simmering under the surface. Most of the Ghoul recruits were pragmatic enough to put it aside. They wanted to survive. They wanted the drug. They wanted protection. So they swallowed their hatred and followed orders. But not all of them. Angela was one of the best recruits. She learned fast. She was disciplined. She never complained. But I saw the way she looked at us when she thought no one was watching. She looked at us like we were the enemy. Because we were. We always would be. One night, I found her sitting alone in the armory. She was cleaning a plasma rifle, standard maintenance. But her hands were shaking. I said, "You okay?" She said no. I sat down next to her. I did not know what to say. What do you say to someone whose people you have tried to genocide? She said, "Do you know what it is like? Pretending to be loyal to people you hate? Smiling at people who would have burned you 6 months ago? Following orders from people who murdered your friends?" I said, "No, I don't know what that's like." She said, "Every day I wake up and put on this uniform, and I want to scream. I want to kill every single one of you, but I don't. Because this uniform means my daughter might not go feral. This uniform means I might live long enough to see what happens next. So I smile and I salute and I pretend we're all on the same side." She put down the rifle. She looked at me. She said, "But we're not. We never will be. You know that, right?" I said, "I know." She said, "Good. As long as we're honest about what this is. You need us to survive. We need you to survive. That's not loyalty. That's not brotherhood. That's just mutual desperation wearing a uniform." She was right. And that was the truth that no one wanted to say out loud. We had not overcome our hatred. We had not learned to respect each other. We had just found a way to use each other, and we called it progress. If this story has kept you listening this far, and you want more of these dark confessions from the Wasteland, hit that subscribe button. It tells me someone out there is still paying attention to warnings like these. But I was about to learn that mutual desperation was not enough. Not when the ideology you built your entire life around starts to crumble. Not when the people you saved start to realize they might not need you anymore. And definitely not when the thing you feared most starts to happen anyway. Because 6 months after the first Ghouls joined Outpost November 7, one of them went feral. Her name was Delilah. She had been a nurse before the war. She had survived the bombs while working a night shift at a hospital in Colorado. She had stayed there for 3 days, treating the injured, watching them die, until the radiation finally caught up with her. She turned Ghoul in that hospital, surrounded by death, surrounded by people who needed her. When she came to Outpost November 7, she went straight to the medical bay. Dr. Lin put her to work immediately. Delilah knew things that our medical staff did not. Pre-war procedures, old techniques. She saved lives. She was good at her job. She had been taking Compound Omega religiously. Every dose, every injection. She never missed one. Dr. Lin monitored her closely. Regular scans, regular cognitive tests. Everything looked stable. Then one morning, she did not show up for her shift. I was the one who found her. I had been assigned to check on absent personnel, standard procedure. I went to her quarters and knocked. No answer. I knocked again. Still nothing. I opened the door. She was standing in the corner, facing the wall. Her body was rigid, trembling. I said her name. She turned around. Her eyes were empty. Not angry, not confused, just empty, like someone had scooped out everything that made her human and left only hunger behind. She looked at me the way a predator looks at prey. I backed out of the room slowly, closed the door, locked it, ran to alert security. By the time we got back, she had broken through the door. Feral ghouls are stronger than they look, faster too. She was in the corridor. 2 human soldiers had tried to stop her. She had torn into them before anyone could react. Not killed them, but close. Marcus got to her first. He talked to her. tried to reach whatever was left of the person she had been. But there was nothing left. Delilah was gone. Only the feral remained. We had to put her down. Standard protocol. You cannot save a feral ghoul. Once the mind goes, it does not come back. Marcus pulled the trigger himself, said it should be one of her own people, said it was more respectful that way. We burned the body according to ghoul traditions. Marcus said some words. Most of the ghoul recruits attended. I noticed they did not invite any of the human personnel. This was their grief, their loss, their reminder of what waited for all of them eventually. Dr. Lin ran every test she could on the remains. She analyzed blood samples, tissue samples, brain scans we had taken weeks before Delilah turned. She was trying to figure out what went wrong, why the drug failed. She found the answer 3 days later. She called me and Watanabe into her lab. She looked like she had not slept. She probably had not. She said, Compound Omega doesn't stop feralization. It delays it, slows it down, but it doesn't stop it. The neurological decay is inevitable. We can give them more time. Years, maybe decades. But eventually every ghoul goes feral. Every single one. It's just a matter of when. Watanabe said, Does Marcus know? Dr. Lin said, Not yet, but he will. They all will. They're not stupid. One of their own just went feral while on the drug. They're going to figure it out. I said, What do we tell them? Dr. Lin said, The truth. We tell them we can give them more time, but we can't save them. Not permanently. We called a meeting. All personnel, human and ghoul. We had been trying to integrate them, so this felt like the right approach. Looking back, it was a mistake. Some things should not be announced in front of everyone. Watanabe explained the situation. Clinical, direct, no sugarcoating. Compound Omega was effective but not curative. Feralization was still inevitable. The drug bought time, nothing more. The room was silent for about 10 seconds. Then Angela stood up. She said, So you lied to us. Dr. Lin said, We didn't lie. We told you the drug was experimental. We told you it was designed to slow feralization. We never promised it would stop it completely. Angela said, You let us believe we had a future. You let us think we could avoid becoming monsters. And now you're telling us we're all just walking time bombs. Marcus put a hand on her shoulder. He said, Angela, we knew the risks. She shook him off. She said, Did we? Did we really? Or did we hear what we wanted to hear because the alternative was unacceptable? Another ghoul stood up, one of the newer recruits. He said, What happens when we start to turn? What's the protocol? You going to put us down like you did Delilah? Watanabe said, If feralization occurs and the individual becomes a danger to themselves or others, then yes, containment and termination. Same protocol that applies to any hostile entity, the ghoul said. Hostile entity. That's what we are to you. That's what we've always been. The meeting fell apart after that. Shouting, accusations. The human personnel looked uncomfortable. The ghoul personnel looked betrayed. Chen's people, the ones who had stayed despite everything, looked vindicated. They had predicted this. They had said you cannot trust mutants. They had said this alliance was doomed. The meeting ended with Watanabe ordering everyone back to their posts. But the damage was done. The fragile trust we had built was cracked, maybe shattered. Over the next few weeks, things deteriorated. The ghoul recruits started keeping to themselves. They ate separately. They trained separately. They stopped socializing with the human personnel. Not openly hostile, just distant, separate. Angela organized them. I did not realize it at first. I thought they were just processing the news about Compound Omega. But she was doing more than that. She was building something. A faction within a faction. I caught her one night in the communications room. She was not supposed to be there. She was sending a message. Long-range transmission. I could not see what it said before she shut it down. I said, Who were you talking to? She said, Other settlements, other ghouls, telling them what we learned, telling them the Enclave is still lying to them. I said, We're not lying. We told you the truth as soon as we knew it. She said, You told us you had a cure. You didn't. You told us we could have a future. We can't. Everything you've told us has been a version of the truth designed to get us to do what you want. That's not honesty. That's manipulation. I said, So what are you planning? You're going to leave. You're going to expose us? She said, I'm planning to make sure we're not dependent on you. I'm planning to make sure when we go feral, we do it on our terms. Not yours. She walked past me. I did not stop her. I should have. I should have reported her immediately. But I understood. She was watching her future disappear, watching herself turn into the thing she had been fighting against. And she wanted control over it, even if control meant choosing when and how to become a monster. I reported the incident to Watanabe the next morning. She listened. She did not seem surprised. She said, "They're going to leave. All of them. Probably soon. They got what they needed from us. The drug formula, the medical knowledge, the training. Now they'll take it and go," I said. "Should we stop them?" She said, "Can we? We need them more than they need us. If we try to force them to stay, we prove that Angela was right. We prove we only care about them as tools, as useful mutations." 2 days later, Marcus came to see me. He said, "We're leaving. Most of us, 17, are staying. They believe in what we're building here, but the rest of us are going. We're going to set up our own place, take what we've learned and use it for our own people." I said, "Where will you go?" He said, "Somewhere you can't find us. Somewhere the Enclave can't find us. We'll share the drug with other ghoul settlements. We'll train them. We'll build something that doesn't depend on you." I said, "This is a mistake. Together we're stronger." He said, "Together we're a lie. You need soldiers. We need to survive. That's not a partnership. That's just two desperate groups using each other. And when the desperation fades, all that's left is the history, all the burning, all the hunting, all the reasons we should hate each other." He paused. Then he said something I will never forget. He said, "You want to know the worst part? I don't even hate you. I understand why you did what you did. You were taught that we were monsters, and in a way you were right. We are monsters, just slow motion monsters, taking decades to turn into what you always said we were. So maybe the Enclave was never wrong. Maybe you were just early. They left the next morning. Marcus, Angela, and 34 others. They took supplies, equipment, weapons. Watanabe let them go. She said stopping them would require force, and force would prove everything Angela had said about us. The ghouls who stayed were different, quieter, more cautious. They knew they were the minority. They knew the others saw them as collaborators, traitors to their own kind. They had chosen the Enclave over their own people. That decision would haunt them. Sarah asked me why the ghouls left. I still did not know how to explain it. I said, they wanted to be in charge of their own future. She said, but we were helping them. I said, helping and controlling look the same from the outside, sometimes from the inside too. Outpost November 7 survived, barely. We still had the 17 ghoul personnel who stayed. We had humans who had learned to work with them. We had Compound Omega, even if it was not a cure. We had something that looked like progress. But we had also learned something terrible. You cannot build a future on ideology alone. The Enclave's dream of genetic purity had died, not because we decided it was wrong, but because clinging to it meant extinction. We had adapted, we had compromised, we had done the unthinkable and recruited the very people we had sworn to exterminate, and it had worked. Sort of, we had survived. We had grown stronger. We had proven that desperation makes strange allies, but we had also proven something else. You cannot erase history. You cannot undo decades of genocide with a few months of cooperation. You cannot ask people to forget what you did to them just because you suddenly need them. The ghouls who left took something with them. Hope, maybe, or revenge, or just the knowledge that they did not need the Enclave anymore. They had learned our secrets, stolen our technology, copied our methods, and now they were out there, building something of their own, something that did not include us. I wonder sometimes what happened to them, whether Marcus and Angela built their settlement, whether they shared Compound Omega with other ghouls, whether they told the story of Outpost November 7 as a cautionary tale, or as proof that even the Enclave could be beaten from the inside. I wonder if they went feral, all of them, eventually, because that is what happens to ghouls. The drug buys time, but time always runs out. Maybe they are still out there, still lucid, still fighting against the inevitable decay. Or maybe they are shambling through the wasteland now, mindless and hungry, wearing the remnants of Enclave uniforms we gave them. I wonder if Chen was right, if the moment we put a ghoul in our armor, we did become everything we swore to destroy, not because ghouls are monsters, but because we proved our ideology was hollow. We proved that everything we believed, everything we killed for, everything we built our entire organization around, could be abandoned the moment it became inconvenient. The Enclave was supposed to be the guardians of humanity, the preservers of genetic purity, the last hope for a clean slate. Instead, we became something else, something desperate, something pragmatic, something that looked less like saviors and more like survivors willing to do anything to see tomorrow. Outpost November 7 still operates. We have about 90 personnel now, a mix of humans and ghouls. We have stopped calling ourselves the Enclave. We just call ourselves November 7, a name that does not carry the weight of ideology, a name that just means a place where people survive. Sarah is 19 now. She grew up in this place. She does not remember the old Enclave. She does not remember when ghouls were the enemy. She just remembers growing up alongside people who looked different. People who were slowly dying in a way she could see and measure. She asked me once if what we did was right. Recruiting ghouls, compromising our principles, abandoning everything the Enclave stood for. I said, I don't know. We survived. That has to count for something, she said. But at what cost? I did not have an answer for her. I still don't. Because the truth is, I do not know if we were heroes or villains. I do not know if we evolved or just gave up. I do not know if Outpost November 7 is proof that even the worst ideology can change, or proof that ideology does not matter when survival is at stake. What I do know is this. We recruited ghouls into the Enclave. We gave them our technology. We trained them. We armed them. We gave them everything they needed to survive without us. And then they left. And now they are out there, somewhere, carrying pieces of what we used to be. Maybe that is justice. Maybe that is irony. Maybe that is just what happens when you try to build something new on a foundation of old hatreds. The recording you are listening to is my confession, my testimony, my warning. I am leaving Outpost November 7 tomorrow. I am going to look for Marcus and Angela and the others. I need to know what happened to them. I need to know if what we did mattered, if the drug we gave them bought them enough time to build something worth building, or if they are just more ferals now, shambling through the wasteland, wearing Enclave power armor, carrying Enclave weapons, a walking monument to the organization that tried to exterminate them and then begged them for help. If you ever find this recording, know this. The Enclave's ideology of genetic purity was not defeated by righteousness or morality, or someone proving we were wrong. It was defeated by arithmetic, by population numbers, by the simple fact that you cannot maintain genetic diversity with a few hundred people. We did not learn to love ghouls. We did not overcome our prejudice. We just ran out of options, and we called it progress. Maybe that is how all prejudice ends. Not with enlightenment, but with desperation. Not with people deciding to be better, but with people realizing they cannot afford to be worse. Or maybe I am just trying to make sense of what we did, trying to find meaning in compromise, trying to believe that survival was worth the cost. The Wasteland does not care about ideology. It does not care about purity or principles or any of the things we built our lives around. It just cares about who survives. And we survived by giving up everything we thought we were. I do not know if that makes us wise or broken. I do not know if what we built at November 7 is a model for the future or just a temporary alliance between dying groups. I do not know if the Enclave is truly dead or just evolving into something unrecognizable. What I do know is this. When you are desperate enough, you will ally with anyone. When you are dying, you will compromise anything. When you are down to your last breath, ideology becomes a luxury you cannot afford. The Enclave learned that lesson. The ghouls learned that lesson. Maybe everyone in the Wasteland learns that lesson eventually. The only question is what happens after. What you build on the ruins of everything you used to believe. Whether you become something better or just something different, I am going to find out. And if I do not come back, if this recording is all that is left of me, then at least someone will know what we did, what we tried, what we sacrificed, what we became. The Enclave recruited ghouls, not because it was right, not because it was wrong, but because it was necessary. And necessity, I have learned, is the only ideology that survives the Wasteland. Everything else is just noise, just words, just ghosts of what we used to believe before we learned that believing does not matter if you are dead. This is my testimony, my warning, my confession. Do with it what you will. Just remember that every compromise has a cost. And sometimes that cost is everything you thought you were. The recording ends here. The rest is silence. The rest is Wasteland. The rest is whatever comes next.